Theme song selfishly takes away 2 minutes of our time. Boy, the transition from soft image to Maya was rough. I may never get over Bob and Larry's tiny pupils. These Bob and Larry imposters are still more convincing than the ones on the podcast. Why does a cardboard cutout need band-aids? I could understand duct tape or rubber bands, but band-aids? What, does the cardboard bleed?
Hubert? Who's gonna name their kid Hubert?
My sincerest apologies to Huberts everywhere.
We figured you needed a break.
I just had a break. I don't need another one.
This is neat continuity after 2 episodes without a countertop, but considering the next episode has no countertop, the one after that has a different host, and the one after that barely qualifies as an episode at all I can say is, too bad, Bob, you are getting another break.
We've been wanting to host a show ever since Dave and the Giant Pickle.
Of all the incredibly specific callbacks they could have made, why did they pick that one? I wonder.
Break a leg.
Other than your own? The artistic merits and comedic genius of the Englishmen who went up a hill and came down with all the bananas needs no words, and I dare not spoil it for you. 10 out of 10.
Somebody turned off QWERTY! Who turned off QWERTY?
Better question, why can't you turn on QWERTY? Sure, you tried to do it with several keyboard combinations, but it never occurred to you to look for a power button first? I normally don't question the invisible hands, but how exactly did Jerry lose his grip on the sign here? I wouldn't even ask if the sign had just completely dropped, but the way it almost slips out of his invisible fingers kinda bugs me. What are the logistics here? Larry tries to shake off Jimmy and Jerry's performance, but secretly, he is just as insulted as Bob. Shocked and slightly embarrassed at the sight of King George without a towel. I said without a towel. Am I the only one who first saw that as a wide-open mouth instead of a goatee? You know, any other merch-based children's show at the time would have tried selling this as a princess bed, but Larry somehow rocks these colors. First the Susie action Jeep, now this. Seems like an impressive shot, until you see the exact line where the 3D models end and the matte painting begins.
I must have it, I must get it, you must go and get it for me.
Look, I'm all about songs that don't necessarily teach the right lesson, but I'm gonna send this one because Big Idea had the nerve to use it like this.
Can't get enough of your favorite VeggieTales music?
I must have it, I must get it,
Then don't miss this newest collection with...
You already have quite a few Duckies.
Hold on, wait a minute, I'm starting to remember this story. Wasn't there some kind of God-given rule that you could only have one Ducky? No. Was it, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's Ducky? Hang on, bear with me, I'll figure this one out.
To say I can't have what I want, you couldn't be more wronger.
It's more wrong, not more wronger.
Congratulations, my dedicated subscribers, y'all get a D.
Ah, Frederick.
Scallion number 1 finally gets a name and he never uses it again. Thought you could hide your recycled animation behind a mirror, didn't you? King George's entire plan to get rid of Thomas and take his Ducky is fundamentally flawed. Sure, putting Thomas in the Pie War gets him out of the way for a while, but at some point the war will end, he'll go back home, find out his Ducky is gone, and that's when the criminal investigations begin. This power-hungry tyrant is incredibly short-sighted, and that's what makes him the most realistic character in this episode.
And now it's time for Silly Songs with Larry.
Skip! You would think the royalty arrow would point up to the sky, not down to the ground. I hear police sirens, but what could they possibly do to stop their king?
This little fellow single-handedly stopped the advancing horde.
He did?
Never underestimate Junior's power to stop ginormous enemies that grown adults never could. I bet all he had to do was just scream about what he learned today, and poof, they're all gone.
I'm afraid he's lost his mind, sire. The trauma of war.
Of all the things I never expected to see in VeggieTales, a grown man in power giving a young child long-term PTSD just to steal the kid's bath toy is somewhere in my top 20.
Are you the only one you think about?
I've been thinking about this Ducky since Thomas has lost his marbles. He won't be needing it.
That almost sounds like something Mr. Nezer would say to rationalize his terrible decisions, and I really don't know how to feel about that.
You remember me. I am Melvin, that slightly odd wise man who shows up every so...
The guest at the house of the rich man clips through the sheep at the house of the rich man.
King George, you are that...
Hero? Hey, Melvin! You sorta just walked out without taking your flannel graph? Oh well, guess it's mine now. Nope, still mine! Yeah, I knew I'd be back in 2 minutes, so I didn't bother moving it. That was my plan the whole time. Being selfish doesn't pay. I tried it just the other day. You tried it a few hours ago. Was there a big time skip I missed?
Hello! I am Bob the Tomato!
Did you ever wonder why Esther didn't have a countertop sequence? Rumor has it the French Pea's performance was so disastrous that it had to be cut for the health and safety of the audience. I still feel like I'm forgetting something. Some dark truth behind the scenes that changes the entire context of this episode. Something that would make all their talk about owning several duckies, coveting thy neighbor's ducky, kidnapping duckies in the dead of night, all duckies looking the same, and King George
Giving his old duckies away to anyone who wanted one.
seem highly insensitive and absurdly problematic. But how? Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. What could it possibly be? Oh, I got it! The bathtub is full of ginger ale. That's the sin I was missing. Phew! Crisis averted.
Ooh, flannel graph.
Oh hey, I guess you finally had the courage to skip the theme song this time. You know, I honestly cannot see why people think this is a problem.
A wise man once said not to be...
Who are you? In the dead of night, the queen's bedroom is the only room in this entire castle with their lights turned off because plot.
And the king can make his own sandwich.
Literally 56 seconds into this movie and we are greeted with unwarranted divorce, unemployment, and potential hair loss from sleeping on curlers. All for refusing to make a frickin' midnight sandwich.
It looks like we're gonna have to find you a new queen.
And then kick her out when she doesn't want to make you a sandwich at 3 a.m. Such is the great circle of royalty. Trains. What are they? I highly doubt anyone in BC times would have known that AD time was going to exist. Esther has irises, and according to half the VeggieTales fandom, irises are apparently the worst thing for any VeggieTales character to have, ever. And I am sorry, but considering how clear the seriousness of this topic is, I cannot make any exceptions. I hope you all understand. This score is recycled from King George and the Ducky. Speak of the devil, there's an ad for that episode. And an ad for the Stuff Mart, despite the fact that it doesn't exist yet.
But what if she doesn't want to be my friend anymore?
Mordecai never directly answers this question.
His Royal Highness, King Xerxes, finds himself, for reasons that do not concern you, in need of a new queen.
Never specifying why the queen was fired, so history can safely repeat itself. No one sees any problem with a shady businessman luring girls into the back of a truck.
You, bow to me!
No!
Bow!
No!
Bow!
Respectable grown-up conversations. Shoulder pads are so practical for a girl who doesn't have shoulders.
But I don't even want to be here. Why do I have to be here?
Because the king said so, and not complying means eternal banishment.
Miss Babylon!
I can assume more than one girl from Babylon was forced to be in this contest, so if they're classifying these girls by town now, there had to have been some elimination rounds before this. That said...
What am I supposed to do again?
Why does Esther not know the rules by now?
Please, sing something! You're making me look bad!
Actually, Esther's the one who didn't plan anything, so you could just disqualify her right here and now to save face. It's not your fault all the contestants are an embarrassment, half of them were being forced to do this. How does the orchestra know what song Esther's gonna sing? Wow, her singing voice is beautiful, almost as if it's done by a completely different person.
We have a new queen!
Contestant 38 wins, and let's just ignore all the other participants who didn't sing yet, but could still probably do better. We'll never know now.
Ladies and gentlemen!
Mister, there are only 2 people in the audience, and neither of them are ladies. Whoop, never mind, we suddenly have enough for a full paparazzi now because atmosphere.
Do you think she's gonna like me?
You bet she will. You're the king. Everybody likes you, under penalty of death.
Larry, typically the wittiest character in the series, plays the part of an ear-voiceless scribe. Seeing how the Peony brothers apparently had ample time to set this whole trap up, I doubt the palace guards are doing their job right. And the murder weapon is a piano because I guess giant anvils weren't hip in the days of ancient Persia.
Any girl in the whole kingdom would be happy to make you a sandwich.
Well, except for that one girl we just fired, but she's an outlier.
And we could have taken over the kingdom if it wasn't for that meddling queen.
You wouldn't have said it like that if it wasn't a reference.
Banishment to the island of perpetual tickling!
In an effort to censor the death penalty, Big Idea comes up with something even more terrifying. Ain't censorship grand? The right-hand wall renders too late.
A zucchini-shaped sarcophagus is where you'll sleep.
As opposed to a tomato-shaped sarcophagus. What does infant potty training have to do with banishment? No, I'm honestly surprised it took this long for the show to make a toilet joke.
Come on over here, Queenie Pooh.
Queenie Pooh. The second instance of toilet humor on this show.
It's for the wedgie? Mm-hmm. Ooh, make it an easy one.
Too late for that, King. The card's already been picked. Haman's a cardian.
Why don't you like me, Mordecai?
Well, for one thing, you're banishing him and his whole family. Larry takes so much pleasure in slamming the door in Haman's face. 17 silent seconds of pointless establishing shots.
See ya, Haman. Thanks for the parade.
We never actually see this parade. Joke opportunity wasted.
You had me banish the man who saved my life and my own queen?
Wait, where was this authority when the last queen got fired? No.
And Mordecai, he got Haman's old job. The number 2 guy in the whole kingdom.
So would that make the queen number 3? I don't think that's how royalty works, or should work.
Two-minute theme song proves there is such a thing as too much sharing. Fun fact, Lyle was the first VeggieTales episode to be animated at film standard 24 frames per second instead of TV standard 30 frames per second. I'm certain this was a stylistic choice for a more cinematic experience and was in no way a cheap maneuver for the studio to save on render time.
When do I have to share? Why do I have to share? Whatever happened to Funny and Share?
We decided to tackle all your sharing questions in one show.
Except that last one, that would get us in more legal trouble.
You let Jimmy and Johnny put on a show. But it didn't work out very well. Understandably so, them being them and all.
Burn!
VeggieTales has been somewhat lacking in the taste and culture department.
What do you mean, lacking in taste and culture? Esther had plenty of that stuff and the parents hated it. Archibald, are you sure you know what the series needs? Archibald changes his costume in less than 1/24 of a second.
For our first story, we present Shakespeare's classic, Hamlet.
Archie thinks it'd be a great idea to tell a story about adultery and murder to small children, and it wouldn't even be the first time VeggieTales did that.
It's tradition. In Shakespeare's day, all the women's roles were played by men.
Mr. Lunt isn't getting cancelled on both sides of Twitter in this scene.
The people, my lord, they're starving. Meanwhile, you feast on eggs every day.
Look, I get what you're trying to do here, and in most other cases, one rich guy's resources could feed an entire country, but in Prince Omelette's defense, this is literally the last plate of eggs in the entire kingdom. Barring the slim chance of a loaves and fish miracle, we are long past the point where sharing could actually make a difference.
We thought those were ping pong balls.
Behold the aforementioned loaves and fish miracle.
And now it is time for classy songs with Larry.
It's not pizza time yet.
It has long been rumored that Gilbert and Sullivan...
And this is the part where most children lose focus because they have no idea who Gilbert and Sullivan are, nor why they should care about all this exposition. This musical pop-up book is a total sham. If Archibald's reading it right, the words are upside down in relation to the pictures. Where even are the words anyway? The Viking wives make for a decent opening number, but otherwise contribute nothing to the story. We get it, big idea. You're proud of your water technology. Please do not flood the ship.
Who doesn't like a pile of loot?
Some golden jewels and a shiny suit.
And a giant screen TV to boot.
Archibald, given the context of a lost musical from the 1800s, does not immediately question the one line about giant screen TVs. Mabel and Penelope forgot to wear their costumes in this shot. The mouth animation gives up halfway through Archibald's narration.
No, there was one in particular.
If the ground is all the way below the screen, then where exactly are Jimmy and Jerry standing right now? This shot composition tricks you into thinking Otar's rowing on both sides, but that's clearly impossible, and this boat clearly should not be rowing straight. Can we really call it sharing if Lyle's just giving the monks back what's rightfully theirs? Yeah, one could probably argue that Lyle wasn't the one who stole the loot in the first place, that he's just sharing the wealth that life gave him, but that's just being pedantic. Even though it's vaguely implied, we never actually see the Vikings tether or untether their boats to these poles, and I'm sure the animators are forever grateful for that. Two versions of this shot exist, and one of them hasn't been seen on official media for decades now. Wait a minute, Lyle, why did you show up at the monastery before the daily raid? I'd understand if you were, say, helping the monks stage a counterattack to stop future raids from happening, but no, he's just giving them more stuff like he always does. What's the point if it's just gonna get stolen in 5 minutes? Hey, you can't fool me with a quick animation gag. Those binoculars are gone! Otar, have you been eating the floor again? In no other universe could these wooden oars sustain Sven's weight.
And the little bag of loot we gave him.
Wait, that's not the same bag of loot he got yesterday, right? Because he already gave that back to the monks. Why would the monks bring it home only to take it all the way back down to shore? It's clearly meant to be a second bag, so where did Lyle get the second bag?
That little Viking is in big trouble.
Dramatic and inconvenient thunderstorm is dramatic and inconvenient.
I need to make an example out of this ex-Viking.
Olaf shreds Lyle's sail, throws out his oars, leaves him stranded in the middle of the ocean during a violent storm. What did he think was gonna happen? This is clearly a murder plot, and no matter how many guilty looks the other Vikings may have, they are all complicit in Olaf's evil scheme. 5 sins for the assailant, and 1 more per accomplice.
Where's the life ring?
Right here!
What I threw?
I'm pretty sure God wants us to help everyone, not just the people who are nice to us.
God wants us to love everybody, not just the people that are like us.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Invisible hands aside, there is no way you kids are pulling your own weight while dangling in midair. Remember that you are plot convenience, and to plot convenience you shall return.
Wherever we go, sharing happily.
Jerry, are you okay? You sound like you have a cold.
That's what I get for working with peas!
That's racist. The way Archibald and the Peas awkwardly slide into frame before their animation starts is enough evidence to tell me there's no 16:9 version of this film. Hey, I'm halfway there.
But what about Larry's high school?
I said it's not pizza time yet. This episode and King George teach literally the same sharing lessons to the point where certain countries have an official video called Englishman with an Omelette that combines the B stories from each episode together. A little too soon to start recycling morals, aren't we?
Yokes!
My Christmas gift this year is that they skipped the theme song. Rats, it's the same gift I get every year. £2 in 1882 would be worth nearly £300 today, or $350 US. That better be some elite quality toothpaste. Talking vegetable hoax? All we ever see in this show are talking vegetables, and now you're telling me they're as hard to find as Bigfoot? Oh, but I love how Cavus laments about how everything in the paper is bad news, including local man reads story of Jonah and whale. You know, on second thought, considering Big Idea in 2002, that one's probably the worst news of all. Gee, this ad would be so helpful if there was a phone number or address or any actual way to contact this miracle worker. Integral Easter Carol foreshadowing buried between a Mary Poppins reference and a Monty Python reference. December 2nd, 1882 did not fall on a Thursday. Scrooge character provides conflict-triggering resource and immediately pieces out until the sequel.
Maybe the new invention didn't work. Maybe he sold it to someone else.
Why does Cavus care so much if Seymour does or doesn't have the invention? You'd think he plans to use it for the show, but no, all he wants is the box of electric lights, which clearly isn't Seymour's invention. Also, you would think this unstable rocket car is just a product of its time, but then you remember that Pa Grape's character was never good with cars.
The Princess and the Plumber.
Nintendo does not immediately C&D this play. Alright, show of hands. Anyone who watched this episode as a kid, who else kept hearing Cavus's last name as Happy Heart?
Happy Thart.
Just me? Well, now you can't unhear it.
The show opens in 3 days. But you haven't finished writing it yet!
Well, the show opens in 3 days, and you haven't hired a lead yet, so I guess we're all unrealistically unprepared.
I need you to write like the wind!
You mean with inconsistent speed and unreliable direction? I think Millward's got you covered there, bud.
This
I
is
love
our
my
big
duck,
break.
and that is why I can't be
again.
bothered.
It's our
Love my
big
duck
break,
with
so
the
we're gonna
particulars
do it
of war.
right.
How long have the fairy peas been dancing here? Didn't Cavus just book this theater 3 minutes ago? No, it couldn't have been that short. They already installed the personalized glass and hung up pictures of themselves with no clothes on, and I'm just gonna stop that train of thought before things get too gross.
We're gonna string electric lights on the scenery itself!
Can you do that?
It's a bit of a fire hazard, but...
Too late, Seymour. Just by saying that, you have sealed your fate with more beams than the Pugsleyville Bridge. This bizarre P animation hidden in the overscan at the very least reassures me that there is no unreleased 16:9 version of this film. 1 down, 3 to go.
You mean the Crown Prince? Prince Frederick?
Why yes, and even though we both should know who he is, I'll explain anyway, just for the audience's sake.
You have 2 minutes to convince me I should be in this musical.
This conversation lasts exactly 2 minutes and 23 seconds. You have failed, Mr. Happy Heart.
Happy Thart. Unbeknownst to the plumber, the princess's pipes are magic pipes.
Oh wait, let me guess. Did the plumber find a secret warp zone while working on the drain, lend the princess a hand, and the scene cuts away right before the cookie is eaten because the animators lack ample chewing technology?
If Miss Pickering is in, the prince is in.
If the prince is in, I think Miss Pickering is in.
A circular paradox solved by outright lying to each person about the other. Our heroes, everyone! A moment of silence for the many potatoes who died to make this poster.
That's enough.
While I appreciate the callback to Gilbert and Sullivan's Lost musical, are you suggesting that Uncle Blob's been in the carnival business for hundreds of years? Also, shame on you guys for not thinking there'd be any competition on Christmas Eve, especially from a church. So, who exactly put the 6-year-old in charge of running this entire pageant? Because I have to commend this kid's leadership. So cutthroat, so uncaring about the personal needs of his staff. All he needs is a union buster and he's perfect. The paintbrush and bucket are always conveniently obscured so nobody has to animate the liquid inside.
Were you asking about the Star of Christmas? They're just gonna use it in a Christmas pageant. Young man, you've given me a fine story.
And aside from Cavus's word alone, no further research was done before this story was thrown on print. December 23rd, 1882 was also not on a Thursday.
That's the same night as your show. What a coincidence.
No, it's really not. Christmas Eve is a kinda popular time for Christmassy stuff. How do you miss that?
All we need for opening night is the Prince, and unless we hear otherwise, he's coming.
This episode is really fond of using the old and then the opposite happens trope, isn't it? Obligatory 3-2-1 Penguins cameo. Obligatory iris out and fade from black in case we ever need to put commercials on this film.
I've still got the receipts for the lights.
I think I could return the costumes.
Guys, you don't have to cancel the entire play, just reschedule it for another night. How is that so hard? It's not like anyone's gonna be disappointed if they're all at the pageant anyway. What, do you think you'll lose favor in the algorithm if you cancel the day before a premiere? You're in 1882! Cut away so we don't have to show Cavus ripping up and crumpling the newspaper before he throws it. Which page did he even tear off? It looks exactly the same as it did before.
Kidnap him! Is that legal?
No.
And even if it were illegal, it probably would not reflect well in the Prince's review. The drama in these lyrics is palpable. Beneath the counters where you'll find the trouble. I'd like to fix it on the double. To protect the world from devastation!
I got more lights, but there's no more room on the scenery!
Barring that giant wall of nothing right in front of you, of course.
You wanna hear the song?
The disappointment in Cavus's voice as he's once again pigeonholed into the small-time past he's known for, rather than the bigger things he wants to be known for. Dang it, why does this silly jingle punch me in the heart?
So if there's only one, how could we have a Star of Christmas?
Then he got an idea. An awful idea.
Thanks for helping out with the Ladies' Temperance League dinner.
Temperance League? Like the temperance movement? Is this the closest VeggieTales ever got to an alcohol joke? Stained glass windows are not this colorful at night unless there's a light source right behind them. I could buy it with the smaller windows because the rays show there's enough moonlight, but what's going on here? How did you two hide from such a skeptical guard? What, did he not think to check the pews before he locked the door? The lighting in this entire scene is kinda miserable. I know it's technically nighttime, but the series can and has illustrated that mood before without making everything hard to see. I had to go back and raise the exposure myself just so it be visible on a tablet.
No, we're not stealing the star, we're just borrowing it.
Rationalize all you want, Cavus, but the word borrow suggests some form of consensual transaction, and I am certain the church is not expecting anyone to just take the star. Come on, Cavus, stop lying to yourself, say the ends justify the means, and be done with it. I had to check this frame by frame to figure out how exactly Millward managed to accidentally catch the tablecloth when he shut the chest, and I still don't understand how it happened.
Let's get out of here!
Oh, you could have run down the side aisle, it was faster!
Look around for a lever or something.
He survives this.
Why does everyone want their laundry picked up at night all of a sudden?
So comic gags like this can prosper. Look, we had ordered a giant trampoline for this skit, but I think it got lost in the mail somewhere, so this is the best we got. Ha ha, comical injuries, but why are your clothes still beaten up? It's been a whole day, right? You don't have another change of clothes?
The musical that everyone will be talking about in just 29 hours.
I did the math on this. Assuming the stage show and the pageant begin at the same time, because with Cavus's luck of course they would, the time right now would be 2:30 p.m. on December 23rd. Makes enough sense until you realize the newspaper Cavus was reading before last night's star theft was also December 23rd. Whoops. What exactly does Millward trip on? I hear some mechanical rumbling, but the chair itself doesn't move at all. I can't believe I haven't asked this before, but where does Cavus get all these crazy ideas? What do you think, Ventrilomatic?
Weed eater.
Oh, that's your answer to everything. Considering the stage show's flashy nature, I'm glad it never crossed Cavus's mind to make the lights flicker on and off, or we'd have even bigger problems on our hands. Pay attention to Cavus's eyes here. For a quarter of a second it looks like the star is melting, and I kinda wish this shot lasted a little longer just so I can make sure that this isn't an animation error or something. As the theater burns to the ground, I think, you know, You made so many stupid risks on this show, and they all could have been avoided if you weren't so narrow-minded in premiering at a very specific time in a very specific place. If you had just delayed this one show for another time, you could have kept the studio and key members of your crew, but now you've lost everything you had for the sole purpose of changing the world as soon as you possibly could, and you still couldn't reach your initial goal. I hope you're proud of yourself, Phil. I mean, Cavis.
Dinner time. Happy Christmas Eve.
At some point between the last dress rehearsal and the jail scene, we go from the afternoon of the 23rd all the way to the evening of the 24th. When's the time skip? When did they sleep during all this?
Well, it was really Edmund's idea. I've been teaching him about Christmas.
All off screen, we never actually see this character growth for ourselves. Apparently, forgiving Cavis and Millward's debts also means rapidly healing all their wounds, skin and clothes alike.
It's time!
It's time? It's time? Did he just say it's...
You know the rest. Look, Ma, no seatbelts. I don't care if they haven't been patented yet. That's a cheap excuse to avoid animating a strap, and you know it.
I don't know if I have to move this thing left to turn left or right to turn left.
Well, the results immediately answer that question. Trial and error, Millward. It's that simple. These guys cause so much property damage and even accidental kidnapping,
Which I hear is illegal now.
just to make it to the church on time. But unlike when they burned down the theater, I don't think they'll be charged for any of this. I guess the ends do justify the means. A reminder for those in the back, this is not flying, this is falling with style.
How are we clapping?
Okay, let's consider our options for how this audience got here. Number 1. News did not spread fast enough that the star was stolen, and a large chunk of the congregation, Crown Prince included, is about to feel incredibly ripped off. Or 2. The news has spread, everyone accepts it, and they're just here for the church. But that raises the question of why theater critic Prince Frederick is still here. If he cared that much about the church, why would he have even considered going to Cavis and Millward's show in the first place? Alright, I guess this stolen bank teller is part of our main cast now. Got a deal. Blatant reuse of the laughing kid from Jonah. Oh, don't you tell me they set up that entire pulley system, complete with rudimentary electric wiring, in less than 2 minutes.
Millward! Cavis!
Nezer screams, but only loud enough to hear in your right ear and nothing on your left. You know, I was gonna make some joke about Millward blocking essential information or possibly hiding a file inside Pincher's present, but I really don't have the heart to sin this beautiful Christmas moment. Just subtract a sin and leave me be.
The Star of Christmas.
Star of Christmas. The Star of Christmas. The Star of Christmas.
The Star of Christmas. The Star of Christmas.
The Star of Christmas. Star of Christmas.
Star of Christmas. Star of Christmas. Star of Christmas.
The Star of Christmas.
The Star of Christmas. The Star of Christmas.
The real Star of Christmas. The real Star of Christmas.
The Star of Christmas.
Flashing in bed.
Big Idea presents Big Idea's VeggieTales. Bob is confused by the white void Larry drags him into, as opposed to the eerily similar white void that Bob drags Larry into every episode. Also, how exactly did they get here? Normally I'm all about that power of imagination excuse they usually have, but come on, Larry's far too creative to stop at plain white void.
The future sure is white.
Yep. The future's been white since the 70s.
That's racist.
In the future, entertainment will be randomly generated.
Oh, so you were the one behind literally every social media platform ever made, you mad lad. Getting this bird's eye view of the wheel of veggies, you can immediately tell which of them will be launched and which ones won't based on the length of their spring. I don't think we were supposed to see that. Nor were we meant to see their backs jutting through the wall. Nor were we meant to notice that Jimmy and Scooter are wearing unfinished outfits from the Ballad of Little Joe. And don't think all these animation errors are distracting me from the real problem here. These characters are trapped in a twirl-a-hurl for the entire episode, and I see a lot of twirling, but not the slightest hint of hurling. If I didn't know better, I'd say they're T-posing. These 3-2-1 Penguins characters thought they'd get more attention and adoration if they pretended to be VeggieTales characters.
Weed eater.
And they were right.
I like my job. I don't want to give it up to a couple of robots.
You can't stand in the way of progress.
Larry does realize he'll lose his job too, right? I know the show is called Larry's Wonderful World of Auto-Tainment, but that holds about as much weight as Steven Spielberg's Animaniacs.
I've secured future employment by becoming one of them.
Oh no, this is getting too real too fast. Based on the mechanics of this device, it's assumed each ball in this one pile can represent a topic or a genre depending on which tube they end up sliding down. This will create many problems later. See what I mean about the title? Already they're drifting Larry out of the equation. Today the logo, tomorrow the voice actor! They survived this. This is not a topic, and this is not a genre.
Hello, Jean-Claude!
You're Jean-Claude. Guess I can't hide from it forever. This episode is a thinly veiled excuse to animate songs from pre-existing VeggieTales albums, and this issue is exacerbated by the fact most of these songs are in the public domain. What makes it a little sadder is that each segment was directed and fully animated by a single person, which hasn't really happened since the very first episode. I guess they wanted to give their newer staff at least a little time in the spotlight before the bankruptcy kicked them all out. Okay, now I'm depressed. Can we get some funny sins now, please? Robot children, for when your live studio audience isn't biased enough. Okay, now we're back. Never stop to read the newspapers in your friendly children's programming, just don't. So far, they've thrown 2 fragile peas and an old man at the wall, and we're supposed to believe that none of them are severely injured because comedy. That's probably a topic, but that is definitely not a genre. Also, funny how these randomly generated pairs of words conveniently coincide with a public domain song every single time. Can you imagine what would happen if they ever didn't? Oh wait, you don't have to. The original script has you covered.
Hey, what's with the Egyptian thing?
Good question.
And now, a randomly placed random short film on a random topic.
Alright, is this episode turning into Big Idea's dumping ground for animations that don't belong in their other videos? I mean, this is a good short and all, but aside from the whole CG biblical truth thing, it doesn't really fit the VeggieTales brand. Case in point, poop joke. In what world is intelligence a genre? Okay, I never questioned it until we got a set this huge. How are we assembling this much material this quickly based on 2 words? And isn't this supposed to be a flat stage? All the other segments are consistent with characters performing toward the studio audience outside the stage, even if that studio audience is just Bob and Larry, but that's beside the point. If Archibald is in this huge library, constantly obscured by shelves, putting aside the moving camera perspective that we see, what exactly are Bob and Larry looking at? 3-dimensional thinking aside, Archibald's just a master at book tower Jenga. It helps that all the books seem to appear and disappear from thin air most of the time. I was willing to buy most of the absurdly timed stunts Archibald pulls in this song, as considering the source material I'm sure he practiced several times, but I draw the line at these physics. I dare you to walk on books stacked like this and see what happens. I am also not willing to buy his lack of concern as all this refined history and culture comes crashing down behind him.
The preceding demonstration of accelerated linguistic output certainly emphasizes his perspicacity.
Gesundheit.
You're supposed to be randomly selected!
And yet you opened the door for him anyway. Mr. Lunt, you are so bad at this.
You are my sunshine.
The actual meaning of You Are My Sunshine is a little too depressing for your typical VeggieTales audience, so they change half the lyrics to something something God's love. Wait, I thought Larry was sitting on a bench. Where's the bench? Why is he floating in midair? Larry, I don't know exactly who took your bench, but I have my suspicions. Wait a minute, Junior? How'd you escape the twirl and hurl? Well, if Mr. Lunt's job wasn't at risk before. This morbid prop got a G rating. Topic, genre, blah blah blah.
From Albany to Buffalo.
That's a cute pun, but there's no way there's that few bridges between 2 sides of an entire state.
Sal, you're on my foot.
What foot? Wait, so you're telling me the Wheel of Veggies was supposed to have a roof this whole time? Well, yikes, that only makes this bug even more embarrassing.
This has to be the worst day of my show business career!
The worst day of your show business career so far.
But they did hear some pretty cool songs.
Why, yes, Larry. Public domain melodies with minimal artistic or educational merit are, in fact, pretty cool.
Would you mind queuing up Junior?
Not only does Mr. Lunt continue to defy his randomly generated quota, but he also lets Jimmy Gord escape. And now, one of the rarest of VeggieTales sounds, Junior Asparagus being voiced by Mike Naraki.
Forgot to change my underclothes.
Never mind the fact you typically don't wear clothing, how exactly would you wear anything with 2 legs like that?
We did learn something today. God loves us no matter what happens.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, anything could have a moral if you shoehorn it at the very end. I mean, look at Sonic the Hedgehog. More importantly, how exactly does this lesson apply here? In the future, you'll lose your job to a bunch of half-baked robots who subsequently enslave your friends to endure randomly generated humiliation for the rest of their lives, and instead of doing anything meaningful to prevent this terrible fate, you just throw up your invisible hands and say, whatever, praise God! Ugh. Let me be clear, though, I really get what Mike Naraki was trying to go for here. This episode was being produced at a time when Big Idea's personal future was uncertain. Long story short, they were in crippling debt from the Jonah movie failing, a lawsuit playing out against them, and from simply cranking out too much media at once. Half the studio got laid off, and Big Idea was at the mercy of whatever company bought them out after their bankruptcy. The story of this episode was their worst case scenario, completely losing control of the show to mindless corporate executives who literally throw garbage at the wall just to see what's funny and profitable, abuse the characters, and generally miss the point of VeggieTales entirely by never focusing on any particular lesson. The poor writers on staff are forced to work in between the executives' convoluted demands and crank out as much quality content as they can, despite how poorly they're treated and the general futility of everything. I can only assume the moral of God loves us no matter what happens was less for the audience and more for the writers of the episode and creators of the show. Even if VeggieTales turns to total crap after the unpredictable buyout, if God truly loves us, He'll somehow make it right for all of us. Needless to say, their very next episode handled a similar moral far better, so I'm gonna sit in this whole conceit anyway.
Somebody tell me there was ice cream!
Ah, the 2-minute theme song again? I thought Rumerweed was going in a pretty sweet direction with that, and you just had to backtrack. Top notch.
Today we have a text message from Libby. A text message?
It's the latest thing. Cool, huh?
I feel like it was only yesterday when email was the latest thing. Aren't reruns a hoot?
Oh, I got cable last month.
Stand aside. We don't want innocent bystanders getting hurt.
He says, before slamming an innocent bystander into the wall. This is honestly the greatest name in the world for a candy store. Short, sweet, and to the point.
Call the police! Call the police! Call the police!
Larry Boy flies this slow for no particular reason aside from a dramatic shot.
We've received unconfirmed reports that we may indeed be seeing the return of Larry Boy.
1. Unconfirmed reports? What does that even mean, other than what you saw with your own eyes? 2. The return of Larry Boy? When did he ever leave? Why did he ever leave? I know what they meant, returning after 3 years of no movies, but why did Larry Boy ever leave Bumbleberg? What was it about some guy stealing a single chocolate bar that made him come back? Larry Boy only needs 9 seconds to soar all the way across Bumbleberg, pick up a box of chocolates, go to his mansion, start up the Larry Mobile, and drive all the way back. Gee, with how time efficient he is, no wonder he can afford to save a single chocolate bar. What's the deal with this TV screen only turning on when Petunia's on the air? It's kind of a waste of resources. Wow, the mayor's vanity is really paying off. She looks about 20 years younger than when we last saw her.
Bananarama extravaganza. Whoa, whoops! Dizzy! I slipped on my own peel.
This stupid show has existed long enough to be a relevant plot point.
First Bumbleberg, then the world.
Of course!
I find it oddly fitting that Petunia's only role in this world is to be an exposition dump. An in-universe exposition dump.
What you need, Master Larry, is to eschew chocolate.
What's a shoe?
Not much. What's issue with you?
What's issue with you? What's issue? What's issue? What's issue? Alfred, your pun's not even a pun, it's just mad-libbing one. Get hit by a car, get hit by a car, get hit by a car. What's this? A pear laptop? How dare you not use my image on your workstation? Face my wrath! Sure, Alfred. Force Larry into an overly painful training regimen while you sit back, drink your overglorified sugar water, and watch Modern Family reruns. So much for designing a program together.
I love the color. Is that crimson?
It's more of a scarlet.
Tempting someone to the point of locking them in their own fantasy world I can reasonably forgive, but compromising their definition of the color red? Now that is evil. Bad Apple goes through the trouble of mounting Jerry's camera upside down for the sake of a humorous visual later, and I'm sitting here thinking, are you crazy? That thing's gonna collapse under its own weight! You're gonna owe Channel 1 News up to $7,000 for this witty little shot! You know, I was about to buy Petunia having 2 assistants, but then Jimmy Gord appeared as a different character, and I'm like, wait, what? And when the rest of Channel 1 News sees that Petunia might be in danger, they send absolutely no one to help, because of course, Larry Boy and the mayor can handle absolutely every crisis in this city.
Hey! Use the sidewalk!
That's what you get for walking in the middle of the road like a stupid person. I'm taking that sin back.
Oh, wait. You need security clearance. Promise not to tell anybody about my secret cave?
Okay, so I would add a sin for this miserable excuse for security clearance, but then I'd have to take it back, because the Bad Apple actually does keep the Larry Cave a secret. Sure, it was probably just a ploy to make sure nobody saves him, but wow, a villain keeping her promises! That takes honor! There is literally no reason for the Bad Apple to reveal her spider legs here, other than to tell the audience, ooh, she's scarier than she's letting on, temptation is evil, platitude, platitude, platitude. 2D building here, 3D building here. Discount Willy Wonka.
I promised Alfred I would eschew chocolates.
Oh, no. Chew them.
Oh, is that why Alfred used an obscure word nobody in their child audience would know about? To service the villain's web of lies?
And thus, Ephraim Apley and his lineage would be forced from Bumblyburg, defeated in his plot to rule the little village.
And none of his descendants will ever plot revenge for 300 years because reasons.
You're Apley!
Stop right this instant! What do you think you're doing? You can't say every apple's related to Apley when not every apple's related to Apley. We're going to get nasty letters saying, "Where's my Uncle Apley? Why don't I have an Uncle Apley? And are you prepared to deal with that?" I don't think so. Just stop being so racist!
Bumblyburg will be ours!
Just a few more centimeters and the bad apple would have had direct murder on her hands. Well, legs. But at least they're visible. Oh, well, isn't that arrogant? You're going to assume your attraction is so tempting that nobody will bother to research what Apley's Funhouse 1 was. I mean, who do you think you are? Street Fighter? A huge cloud of mist filled the air, covering everything in sight, and making this transition incredibly easy to animate. So we're just going to assume this land of chocolate disappears on its own, right? Because we never see the Larry Cave again after this.
My heir!
Her heir.
Master Laddie!
Why are you shocked by this, Alfred? How else did you expect Larry Boy to save the mayor? How are you filming this? I know you just stole a camera, but where's the camera now?
Whoever enters the funhouse stays in the funhouse.
Did that gun just come out of her... You know, I'm just gonna stop before I lose my PG rating.
I've got one shot to plug that web shooter.
Two shots. So using the sports string to weaken the webs I could understand, but how could you possibly have known the broken webs would ricochet and tie up the villain? If you didn't know, and that second part was dumb luck, then your plan basically amounts to just killing a few webs, of which the bad apple could very quickly make more.
All citizens are clear of the funhouse!
That's not Jim Pool. See, these people are smart. They run away from the giant rolling boulder of death, but not these two. These two are special. Well, assuming that blast off didn't destroy any buildings, now the bad apple is another city's problem. Ha ha. Remember, kids, temptation is still out there, but as long as you pack an expensive sports drink and super suctioneers, then everything will be okay.
I'm the Red Wonder! Or Bobbin. But I'm leaning toward Red Wonder.
It's funny, because at one point, Larry Boy was the Robin to Bob's Batman. How times have rapidly changed at Bob's expense.
That's all the time we have for today, kids.
Thanks, Red Wonder.
You did nothing in this episode.
I'm looking for the golden egg.
Don't remind me. Oh yeah, this episode was in that brief window of time when all the Dear Bob and Larrys came in through face chat. Eventually they'd scale it back to basic emails, but for now I have to endure non-professional child acting. Also, if Timmy were looking where this web camera is pointing, he'd just be staring at a wall. Come on, at least vaguely point the camera in Bob and Larry's direction. You've done it once before.
I wonder why Qwerty didn't tell us about Timmy.
QWERTY's got Sundays off.
How does that even work? His AI shuts down, but the computer itself doesn't? Does that mean QWERTY isn't actually a living computer, just an artificial soul trapped inside the computer? And can that soul be copied or transferred to another device, or is it buried in so much DRM protection that this computer from 2009 can only handle one email and one Bible search per day before it explodes? By the way, this kid doesn't actually have a problem, he just wants to know what this Easter show is going to be about.
Who's screening your mail?
Careless disregard for local traffic.
You know, theater blood runs very deep in my family.
Jonah flashbacks.
Louis, pause tape. But pause tape?
But we're not even using tape. It's been out of fashion for years.
I plan to tear down and build a playground. The children at the homeless shelter could use some place to play.
But the theater, I mean, think of all the good it could do.
Whereas a playground for homeless children?
Immediately painting the protagonist and her goals in a negative light before any of her plans can get off the ground.
Thanks for helping me move, Louis.
Helping her move? You mean she's living in the theater now? Okay, I guess paying rent is one way to keep the building afloat for a few weeks, but gee, I sure hope living in a semi-abandoned building that's, quote, in need of extensive repair doesn't blow up in your face in the third act.
But Easter is only a week away. You better get hopping.
The show opens in a week, yet the script isn't finished, none of the actors have been cast, and the guys in charge of technology still need to fix the theater itself, so we are even less prepared than the Princess and the Plumber.
She sells peapods at the bean store.
Baby trafficking.
So you are a barbershop quartet?
I wonder what terrible thing Frank and Celery did to get booted out of this group, or what terrible thing the Scallions did to make him want to leave. Either way, shame on the Scallions for trying to keep their quartet name without finding a replacement first.
I'm trying to impress my boss.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around Mr. Nezer having a boss.
Hello, we are the Frenchies, we're auditions 5 through 9.
And you have already failed. Considering basic math was enough to reject these three beautiful voices, you should have known there were more than 4 auditions before yours.
We believe that reason is puppies.
Abruptly halting the narrative flow of this scene to recycle the Lost Puppies song for literally no reason whatsoever.
Cassie Cassava!
But she doesn't live here anymore.
Not after winning season 3 of America's Got British Judges.
Thank you, Mr. Exposition.
Cassie can't perform for you. Cassie is singing here Easter morning.
Don't worry, our show is Saturday night.
This is a big service for us. We'll need to rehearse on Saturday night.
Oh man, I knew this whole episode was a Star of Christmas ripoff, but they are jumping through so many hoops to keep the same story beats. I mean, yeah, of course it wouldn't make sense to premiere a theater show at the same time as a major church event, but we still need to fabricate a choice between one or the other.
Opening Saturday night.
That's the night before Cassie Cassava sings at the sunrise service.
I was going to suggest delaying the show's premiere like I did last time, but unlike Princess and the Plumber, this is a show that could only work during Easter, so yeah, Marley kinda dug her own grave here.
If Cassie isn't here on Saturday night, the seats will be empty. We've got to figure out a way to get Cassie here on Saturday night.
Oh great, now we're getting somewhere. Instead of plotting to steal a prized historical artifact, you're plotting to steal a person.
Which I hear is illegal now.
And now it's time for the latest dance craze with Jean-Claude and Philippe.
Bustle. Give Cavis some credit, at least he never publicly advertised a star he didn't have yet.
Cassie Cassava? Here? Tonight?
Wait, tonight? Even if you do get Cassie at this point, you're only giving her a few hours maximum to rehearse? Give Cavis some credit, at least Effie Pickering had 3 days. Actually, scratch that. You're taking her from the very rehearsal that stopped her from being in the show to begin with, which most likely means that your show has already started.
We just need to get her there in time for the finale.
Yeah, so not only are you risking the possibility that Cassie will see through your entire sham, let alone fail to memorize her part in 10 minutes tops, but you left your own show without its 3 leading directors for a majority of the program. You had 7 days to figure out this plan, and you waited until the last possible moment to execute it. Give Cavis some credit. At least he got his maniacal plot sorted out at least 29 hours in advance.
Who are you again?
I'm British!
Yeah, and you're not a robot, I've heard. Well, I'll give Marley some credit. Unlike Cavis, she actually got a full house opening night before the theater was destroyed. Furthermore, despite all odds, she hasn't gotten herself into any legal trouble. The church won't press charges for borrowing Cassie, and Prescott was already planning to knock down the theater before this whole thing started, so no harm, no foul. But when I put it like that, it's almost like they wanted this Star of Christmas knockoff to have a lot less teeth than the original.
Christmas Eve.
Easter.
In jail.
In a homeless shelter.
That wasn't part of the plan.
In the Star of Christmas, our climactic race to the church made sense because the pageant was going to happen with or without the main cast, but in more pressing circumstances like an out-of-nowhere snowstorm, most of your congregation and staff is going to be late for church anyway, so why the rush?
This is a highly technical piece of machinery!
You wouldn't believe how hard it was to cram so many plot-relevant features into just 2 levers. Seymour says not to use the last rocket because it's too powerful and he hasn't tested it yet. Howard says not to push the red button because...
Don't you ever watch movies? The red button is always trouble!
He has no idea how his own machine works.
They cleared the streets and dumped it all here!
You know, the town's not very big, and the amount of time it would take to debate whether or not to press the red button, you could just walk around this whole roadblock. How is the bus supporting this giant robot's weight?
Christ the Lord is risen today. Hallelujah.
They said the A word! Or was it the H word? Well, either way, I hope you didn't watch this before Easter. This playground is significantly smaller than the theater it used to be.
QWERTY?
Oh, remember, Bob? QWERTY's got Sundays off.
You know what? Forget what I said about artificial souls trapped in esoteric technology or whatever. It's more likely that QWERTY's just being a jerk and giving everyone the silent treatment. Larry the cucumber, you traitor!
I've got plenty of jelly beans.
This episode exists. While I'm not as horrified by these in-the-house redesigns as other people seem to be, I have to wonder why Big Idea decided to carry them over to the original show. I can imagine a child watching this right next to Beauty and the Beat and wondering why everyone looks so different.
Why in the world did you bring an elephant onto the countertop?
Correction, how in the world did he bring an elephant onto the countertop? Imagination? Then how come he didn't wait to summon the elephant after the countertop? Actually, scratch that, because the episode starts on the typical cry of
Roll film!
So why do we need these animals in the first place if they already have a film made? Did they just come back to watch? I don't know if it was intentional or just coincidence that the first post-house VeggieTales video had a message about trusting God's plan. It's like the writers are saying, hey, you don't like the redesigns? Well, screw you! These redesigns are what God wants and we're sticking to it regardless of how much you complain.
I think Chris is really gonna love the orange arc, the giant squid, and the really cool dirigible.
But if I recall correctly, none of those things were mentioned in the story of Noah.
So you're just taking offense to this now? I thought after the Chocolate Bunny Factory, Slushy Bombs, Pie Wars, Islands, Perpetual Tickling, Dodgeballs, Tubas, and amusement parks, you'd just be numb to all these revisions. These two new characters only exist to have special guest star voices clog their windpipes.
You can't even reach the pedals. How are you doing that?
I'm gonna build a swing, and then right next to that swing, I'll build another swing.
Why would you do that?
Because it'd be rude if he didn't. You are two people. Two people would need two swings. It's basic logic. But no, let's use this opportunity to sing a song about pears. Does it contribute to the plot? Does it teach a valuable lesson? Is it at least funny?
Then I have to say it's soundtrack fodder.
Oh, that's great. You redesigned all your main characters beyond recognition, but the penguins, pigs, dogs, and camels can stay. That's wonderful.
Grab a tool. It's hammer time.
Get it? It's a reference to a song from the 90s. That's automatically funny.
I'm gonna just tell Dad that this crazy project has to stop. We'll unbuild this monstrosity, and everything can get back to normal.
Be gentle.
Of course I will! I'm a lady!
Because apparently all women need to be gentle, and this accident just made the carrot less of a woman. Noah's Ark, a lesson in arbitrary gender roles. Remember, kids, it's perfectly safe to jump on fast-moving girders, especially when they're being controlled by this girl, as long as you're wearing a hard hat.
You bought the whole hardware store.
I take it hardware stores were pretty small in 2500 BC.
Mom, it's good to be home, even if I barely recognize it.
Seriously, I've been home for 5 minutes and I don't recognize any of you. Mom, didn't you have a French accent before I left?
When I heard what God told your father, I was a little rattled.
Our whole world's going to be destroyed in just a few days. That makes me a little rattled.
The earth is going to be flooded, Shem. God has seen that no one cares about doing what's right anymore, so he's gonna start over.
Well, way to be blunt about all the genocide in this story. VeggieTales, the only preschool show with a body count over 2 million. And now let's sing a happy song about the perfectness of God's world just a few days before he completely destroys it.
Open the doors! Open the stalls!
Get the shovels!
It's funny because poop. But I'll be honest, selling the Ark like a cruise ship was pretty cool, and it's the kind of creativity I've come to expect from the show at this point. But I still have to wonder how you sell gym equipment and karaoke machines to a bunch of non-anthro animals. Still a sin, but the fun kind of sin that I actually enjoy.
And to answer your next big question, we will all help with animal cleanup.
And that's poop joke number 2. Ah, crap, now I'm doing it. Alright, no more poop jokes. That is my duty.
You got a name for this ship? I'm keeping it simple. Ark.
I think it should be called Noah's Ark.
Roll credits. I'm not actually gonna skip the silly song this time because unfortunately there's not much silly here to skip, and that's just sad.
Okay, kids, ready for the Easter egg hunt?
Making us feel bad for not watching this on Easter. They're particularly careful not to give Junior any lines for this song, almost as if there'd be too many Jimmies to rustle if he spoke too loud. I don't think a metal detector will help you find plastic eggs, Larry. Cruelty to imaginary snakes. This supposedly rare golden egg is in very plain sight on top of a small hill. Makes you wonder how it took so long for anyone to find it. Really? We need to learn about sharing here? I understand you want to remind us you're still a Christian show, but not during the silly songs, please.
I had a dream. There were birds all around me.
One bird.
We've been cooped up in a boat on our front lawn for 7 days. And oh, has it rained one drop? No!
Genesis 7:4a, God does tell Noah when the floods would start, so why didn't Noah just tell the rest of the family? The only reason I can think of is so they could make this scene work.
No lipstick.
Oh, you thought the rising rain would be enough for drama? No, let's throw in lightning strikes and randomly exploding geysers, because if God's gonna destroy the world, he might as well give it some flair. Sorry, that's not water. That's the second coming of the smooze. To be fair though, nothing can stop the smooze. Of all the leaks to strike through the ship, how come these giant glass windows are always perfectly fine? Aren't they the most fragile thing on the surface of the ship?
Ark.
God promised that it would rain for 40 days and 40 nights.
Oh, so now you let the family in on God's timeline, but not while they're doubting it. I think there's a message in there somewhere.
So far, I don't see any signs of...
That was easy.
Lens flare.
Okay, I'll give them some credit. Their umbrella patterns actually match up with the pattern of Noah's umbrella on Minnesota Cuke. However, where they don't match up is the Ark itself. They steal the almost squished by an elephant mid-song joke from The Lion King. Alright, can we just stop with the juvenile poop humor? I always knew this episode was full of crap, but this is ridiculous. Hey, I see what you're doing back there, and joke's on you. The story of Jonah hasn't happened yet.
Shem said to meet him here.
He just said, meet me by a pile of randomly stacked crates?
Even after the redesign, Bob is still excellent at CinemaSins.
Plan B, a flying machine to take us into the air and away from this seasick life.
Is this part of God's plan?
Well, how do we know this isn't part of God's plan? And don't say because he hasn't spoken, because if we're to apply this moral to everyday lives, then God doesn't usually speak.
What have you been up to all day?
Could have said that without the food in your mouth.
It'll be okay, Mrs. Hamster. Your heart will go on.
But your species won't.
That wave could flip us over!
In case you couldn't tell, that giant wave just knocked over a whale. I know you had less than 2 seconds to register what that tiny little thing was, but sorry, nobody plays. They survived this. Oh, I get it. It's the forbidden fruit. In case you couldn't tell that Shem's machine went against God's plan. I mean, I sure didn't. Take a few people out to sea because that's all the balloon will fit, leave the rest of the group to tend for the animals, and when the balloon team finds land, they'll come back for the rest of the group to follow. I don't see how this plan could be flawed other than God's orders to not leave the Ark, which they will later disobey anyway when they send birds out to follow this exact same plan. Obligatory Wilhelm. Japheth was literally about to slap the squid with a fish. I guess that's how this tradition got started.
This is the Bible story of the Ark, Noah's Ark, and you are not in it. So go home. You can come back for Job.
And then Shem got so depressed that he shaved his eyebrows between shots. Wait, never mind. There they are.
Dad, I'm wondering if these birds might be a part of God's plan.
Maybe. Why would you think that?
I'll repeat. 1, they're about as likely as the blimp that everyone shunned. And 2, it looks like your plan is to speed up the process of God's plan by sending birds to take his sign. In other words...
Is this part of God's plan?
It's improving on it. I'm just helping him along.
Also, what's to say the birds aren't going to be attacked by a giant squid on the way back?
Maybe they found places to nest.
I'd say so. And that means there's enough land out there for all of us.
Seriously? God's plan aside, that's kind of a giant stretch of logic.
You kids go forth and multiply.
I have no idea what that means.
I'll explain it to you later.
And here you thought the show stopped doing adult humor.
It's all right there in Genesis 6 through 9.
Check it out, kids.
Yeah, check out the story as it goes further in depth about planetary genocide, sex, and that one time Noah got drunk and naked in his garden. This video exists. Officer Olaf, you are not tied directly to the train tracks. What's stopping you from just standing up? Larry Boy is completely surrounded by hired goons with no escape, yet the only way this plunger trick could actually work is if he leaves the circle first, otherwise he'd just tie himself up. Wait, how am I supposed to spell Larry Boy again? I'm used to the dash and a capital B, but this video doesn't have the dash and some official branding is a lowercase b. So what gives? Is this what constitutes a difference between 2 universes now? Okay, now I know for sure this is an alternate universe because Larry has bottom teeth. I could believe a convenient spatula was in Larry Boy's utility belt, but I refuse to believe a convenient giant spatula was in Larry Boy's utility belt. Discount Officer Scooter. Discount Jimmy and Jerry Gourd.
We were really hungry. Why don't you just eat the cheese instead of shooting it at people?
Larry Boy would be excellent at CinemaSins. But not excellent enough. Where did Herbert and Wally get all the cheese? And how are they throwing it all at once with this much force? I don't see any ginormous radar-guided artillery in this costume.
And remember, God wants us to be nice to people.
I will scream this in case you forgot this is a Christian cartoon! Antagonist of a VeggieTales episode is the only character with arms or legs cliche. Lampy, buddy, why do you keep putting up with awful Alvin's nonsense? You know as well as I do that you could do better. No, you deserve better. Discount Petunia Rhubarb. Oh, wait a minute, Vicky came first. Shallow love interest character that serves no real purpose to the story. There we go.
The Knitmaster 3000 recycles the hair that collects in your bathtub drain.
Bathtub hair. As a kid, I thought this was just a trash bag, but no, this whole thing is a giant glob of hair that's been sitting in bathroom pipes for weeks. Nickelodeon would have been proud. Ew, Nickelodeon would have been really proud. Larry Boy's butler is named Archie instead of Alfred because for some reason Big Idea suddenly cares about trademark infringement now. I wonder why. Uh-oh, forgot to change the background here. So let me see if I got Awful Alvin's plan straight. The evil device that forces people to hold on to their anger only works as long as people hold on to their anger. Hey, don't get me wrong, I can respect what the eyebrows actually do, taking the cold bitterness in someone's heart and amplifying it to a blind rage, but the way Alvin explains the plan just seems so counterproductive. The very concept of superhero class is incredibly suspect. I appreciate the intent, but if I were a mad villain, I would seriously take advantage of those precious hours when my arch-nemesis is reliably out of town for a lecture. Awful Alvin sure did.
I'm the Scarlet Tomato.
The Scarlet Tomato? Isn't that, Redundant?
Larry Boy would be excellent at, hey, wait a second, they're literally using the exact same pose as the last time we did this joke.
No, Electromelon must let go of his anger.
Gee, thanks, Bok Choy. Your moral standards just exposed a superhero's secret identity. Better hope that no sinister villain is spying on you from this open window.
Section 49, Chapter 4, Line 26 of the Superhero Handbook.
You know, I actually read the Superhero Handbook, and would you believe that about 90% of it has nothing to do with actual superheroes? Sure, it has small passages here and there that vaguely resemble a decent moral code if you take them out of context, but the rest of it's just an unfocused, contradictory mess.
Now I'm even more angry.
Nyeh. Upon seeing Lampy on the roof, Larry not only neglects to report this to the Daily Bumble security, not only fails a spot check when Awful Alvin is this close in front of him, but leaves both villains unsupervised with complex machinery that he just got fixed. Our hero, everyone.
Where is that cucumber janitor?
Oh, there he is.
Wow, Bob, you sound awfully happy to throw Larry under the bus.
There's that beeping again.
Does the beeping come from the mop's handle or the mop itself? The animators can't seem to decide. Tired Larry? Happy Larry. Back to Tired Larry. The secret pneumatic Larry tube is accessed with a shiny red button that anyone in the Daily Bumble could see and press. Bob the Tomato's weapon of choice is ketchup, and that is just sick. Bree. Larry Boy, rather than going into blind rage attack mode like everyone else in Bumbleberg, just stands there in awkward silence to give Awful Alvin time to gloat.
I'm not gonna stay mad at you.
What? You can't do that!
He totally can, it's in the fine print. You weren't satisfied with a simple whip pan shot. No, you needed the characters and background to inexplicably expand and fade between each other. Look, if you just ran out of smear frame budget, this is a really strange workaround.
Sure, I get mad sometimes, but I need to learn to let it go.
After resist the obvious meme. Gotta hold it in. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know.
Finish him off, my furious furry...
Fellows? Fiends? Familiars?
Eyebrows?
Okay, well, I guess that works too. Gee, what were the odds that Mom Mushroom's Knitmaster 3000 could handle so much living hair at once and still survive without even a scratch? Why is this shot of digital 2D animation so out of focus? Occasionally throughout the series, outlines would get a lot thicker during fade transitions for some reason. This is only the most obvious example. Let's be real, we all know why the cartoon adventures of Larry Boy failed. You sell 30 minutes of flash-based 2D animation on VHS for 12 or 15 bucks when your competition is generally free with a cable TV package, you were doomed from the start. Good thing the CG animation in VeggieTales can always stay above TV standards. I mean, can you imagine how much trouble Big Idea would have if decent 3D animation were on TV for free in the year 2002? DNA Productions, you traitors!
It was the only job you were qualified for.
What do you mean this isn't VeggieTales? Look, it's got Bob and Larry on the front and everything. This awkward and lanky Michelle design they would immediately replace in the next episode. If you look closely at the P's center, you'll see the exact moment where the crater behind it disappears.
Hi, Grandma.
Oh, that's Grandmom to you, you little bugs.
Wait, that's not Grandmom's voice. Oh, wait, I got a newer tape. Hang on, let me swap this out with the original.
That's Grandmom to you, you little bugs.
There we go. That's the voice I remember from the commercials. Look, I get you're obscuring all the adults' faces for a gag, and it's cute, but you're not going to animate the shadow at all? You're just going to stick with the PNG for 7 seconds? Alright, your loss. If you don't remember seeing these next few scenes, it's because NBC had them all cut to make more time for commercials and they've never been restored. Not on Peacock, not on Roku, not on Yippee, not even on physical media, unless you shell out the cash for a standalone DVD that hasn't been sold since 2008, or you just happen to own a VeggieTales box set that accidentally sold this episode as a bonus feature, you ain't seeing this content in official capacity anytime soon. The Turbo 3000 is literally a Nintendo 64.
I got it all hooked up. Hooking it up is half the fun.
You just saw Jason get repeatedly electrocuted 20 seconds ago. You call that fun?
Can't have my little onions fighting like frogs and dogs now, can I?
Frogs don't so much fight dogs as they do accidentally poison them. What are you on about, Grandmom?
Good things come to those that wait.
I couldn't agree more. That's why you should wait your turn.
Deflecting ethical responsibility like a true influencer. Oh no, you fool! Your controller's in the Player 2 port. You won't even get past the menu. Oh, this kidney pie is awful. It tastes like the back of my shirt.
Oh, you dropped your hat.
Gee, Grandmom, you could have warned these kids about the deadly attic ladder before you sent them upstairs. The toy spaceship has more extraneous details than the actual spaceship. I don't know why they gave Jason such a strong fascination for botany that it's not only fully integrated into his pretend space adventure, but he gets so excited when the game bundled with his Turbo 3000 is
Bonsai Master 3, Pruner of Destiny.
This character detail adds nothing to the story, but I love their commitment despite that. Up to now, I would have accepted hiding Grandmom's face from the fourth wall, but you just had to make it an in-universe problem.
Wow.
Haha, poor Zigil.
Look, I'm the oldest.
Huh? By 5 minutes?
For a brief moment, Jason forgets basic math. Silly Jason, don't you know that the human hand only has 4 fingers? Jason, what are you trying to accomplish by shoving Michelle's favorite penguins in the toy ship? If it's supposed to be some kind of threat, how's Michelle supposed to know when she's not even looking at what you're doing? We are halfway into the pilot for 321 Penguins, and it took us this long to get to the penguins. Why do you need Jason on the monitor when he's right in front of you?
When I was your size, I was twice your size.
I don't think I need to explain that one. The Galeazal resizing device is incredibly overpowered, and why they never used it to end world hunger, I'll never know.
Sensors indicate that he could be daydreaming.
Oh ho ho, that would certainly make things easier, wouldn't it? But alas, future events in the NBC reboot would greatly contradict this theory, so I'm forced to piece through this plot logically. How did these penguins come to life? If they were alive this whole time, why were they stationed at Grandmom's house in hypersleep for Lord knows how long? How convenient is it that Jason just happened to place these penguins in their rightful headquarters simply out of spite for his sister? Why do their daily missions always depend on abducting a child? Why do said missions eerily coincide with each everyday problem the child has? Why is every civilian on every planet roughly the same size except for people on Earth that have to be Galeazaled? Why does scientist Dr. Fidgel strongly resemble Jason's granddad? By the way, don't think I didn't notice this cheeky framing. Why does Captain Zigil have all of Michelle's vain tendencies and the same voice as Jason's dad?
The galaxy waits for no man. Your grandfather finished this place when I was about your age.
Why is First Officer Mitchell literally Jason's self-insert character complete with botany interest?
No job's too hard when you use your head.
Why is Kevin an exaggerated version of Grandmom with all the quirks and none of the wisdom? Is the boy injured? Why is the sad Sabu sad? Is the canoe wood or aluminum? Oh geez, I got carried away back there. Scrap those last few sins, will ya?
Wait a minute. You guys get your directions on a fax machine?
You know what a fax machine is? Jason's seatbelts clip through the floor. During this landing sequence, Jason is reasonably terrified, but Fidgel's having the time of his life, and I think the captain might have lost his lower jaw somewhere. Even though we've landed, you can still see moving stars out of Midgel's window.
Kind of odd behavior for a planet called Wait Your Turn.
Roll credits. Midgel expertly dodges Zigil's dramatic point as if they've done this routine a million times before. I'm not gonna lie, President No I'm the President is probably the best character name Big Idea has ever come up with.
What? Oh, you're the guys from the Federation.
See guys, I told you this was a VeggieTales episode. Look, Larry the Cucumber's in it. If Planet Wait Your Turn is moving this quickly toward the sun, why hasn't that blue planet above the set moved an inch? Talking toward the camera instead of toward the characters.
The cutting in line bug is infecting us too!
It infected me first.
I wanted to cut in front of you hours ago.
You've only been here for 3 minutes. Gee, how nice of the deadly sun to gradually stop blinding us while Jason lectures to the planet. You'd think they're going for a twist where we've been moving further away from the sun this whole time, but nope, here's the planet hurtling this close to its doom. Also, for a planet that was about 90% on fire 10 seconds ago, the plant life sure recovered quick.
You really don't get this whole daydreaming thing, do you?
Huh?
It's okay, Jason. I don't think I'll ever get it either.
We were low on toner.